Welcome to QE Auto. Today's lab is going to be headlight bulb replacement. Okay, so with the headlight, same thing as the taillights, not all the headlight lenses, this big housing right here, need to be taken out of a vehicle just like this in order to replace the headlight bulb. A lot of them just require you to go through the inside under the hood of the vehicle to get access to the back of the headlight. Now, to make things easier, I have this headlight out of the vehicle, so it makes it nice and easy for you to see how to remove the headlight bulb. We'll quickly go over to a vehicle to show you where to access the headlights and the bulbs themselves via the inside of the vehicle. So if we quickly look underneath the hood of this vehicle, you can see that the two headlights are on either side, driver side and passenger side of the vehicle. One side here, you are able to reach your hand in and to be able to get that headlight out via the cavity. But if you look at this side of the vehicle, your access is blocked by air conditioning lines that impede your hand from going to the headlight bulb itself. So in this case, you cannot remove the air conditioner lines, but you can remove the headlight assembly, the lens itself. So depending on the vehicle and the type of access you have, that will determine if you need to remove the lens or if you can just remove the bulb. In most cases, you just need to remove the bulb, not the lens. So now that we've seen the demo on how to get access to the headlight via the vehicle itself underneath the hood without removing the lens, now I'm going to show you with the exact same headlight how to take out the bulb via the back of the lens itself. At first, what we're going to do is we're going to start by removing the electrical pigtail or the plug. Now, as you're removing this pigtail and plug, just grab it carefully and give it a little shake up and down or side to side, and this will slowly remove the plug from the socket. Now, if you notice on this plug, as I took it out, the top portion where my thumb is has a flat, like a spade. That will be very important when we're putting the plug and bulb back into the housing. So keep that in mind. Now this would be attached to the vehicle. This is just a demo purposed headlight. Next, we will remove the rubber seal. Now they usually have a little tab that you can pull. So if it does have a tab or if it doesn't, we need to get the rubber seal off. Okay, and you're just going to peel that off and place it to the side. Those rubber seals usually are indicated with a top arrow or the letters that say top on there so that you can place it on the right way. Now from this point, we are going to remove the headlight bulb. Okay? As mentioned, you never need a tool to remove the headlight bulb. It is just your hands. In this case, this has a metal wire that surrounds the bulb itself. What we need to do is we need to find the push tab, which is right here, and we're going to place our finger on it, push in, and either push down or up in order to get the headlight out. And you will see that happening now. Pressing it in, press it down, and this releases that metal clip from the headlight. Swing it out, and then simply grab the headlight and remove the bulb. So let's talk about the bulb itself. There's a couple features of the headlight bulbs similar to the taillights. Now the headlights will have one or two filaments in each of the bulbs. Okay? Don't worry about the numbers on the headlights. There is a lot more numbers than there are for the taillights. So let's just talk about the filaments. In this case, we have two filaments in this bulb. Now, unlike the taillights, these are vertical filaments. They do not go horizontal. So the filaments represent the different headlight functions. Now the two headlight functions that every vehicle has is low beam and high beam. Okay? You may have one headlight that does both. You may have two headlights in the vehicle and that performs one function each. In this case, we have one bulb that does high beam and low beam. So that represented by the two filaments. If you are wondering why the top of the bulb might be painted or has a little top cover, that would indicate that this bulb is a low beam bulb. But because we have two filaments, that also lets us know that we have our high beam in one bulb as well. Now if you look really closely at the filaments, you will see that the top one is surrounded by a spoon shape. Now that spoon shape is meant to deter the light from shining up and only point it towards the ground. That would be our low beam and general running lights for our vehicle. When we flip over the switch to go to high beam, it will then illuminate the bottom filament, which then illuminates the entire headlight lens to project all the light going as far a distance as possible, up and down, side to side. For the low beam, we are projected to go about 20 to 30 feet in front of the vehicle, pointed towards the floor. So now that we know about the headlight filaments, let's talk a little bit more about the bulb itself. Now, this glass piece, the bulb itself, can get extremely hot. So if you're working on a vehicle that has been running, please be mindful of the temperature that those bulbs can be. In our sake, in our shop, all the vehicles are not running, so we are safe to move around the bulbs as needed. Now, when you are replacing a bulb or when you're handling a bulb, it is extremely important with headlights that you do not touch the glass itself. The glass can become contaminated with not just the shop oils on your hands, but the natural oils that come out of your skin. And as soon as you put oil onto the bulb lens, the bulb glass itself, it then will cause overheating of that bulb and have a premature life, meaning that it will die early. So you want to make sure that you do not touch the glass portion of the bulb when you are handling it. You want to touch everything else around it. Now, when you are replacing a bulb, I mentioned that we're not going to go over numbers on these bulbs, but there are specific bulbs that go back into their places. But some bulbs may have adapters that go onto the back portion of the bulb. In this case, this piece itself is a solid bulb that you would buy at any part store. Sometimes there's a plastic piece that goes on the back of that bulb, so make sure that you know what needs to be replaced and what needs to be reused. When you are handling the bulb, make sure that you are grabbing it more on the electrical portions or the metal canister itself as you are handling that bulb. Now, we will show you how to place it back into the headlight. So now that we've talked about all the components of the bulb itself, it's time to put the bulb back into its socket. Now, first looking at it from the front angle, we see that there are indicating tabs around that light bulb lens. Okay, the light bulb itself, sorry. So these indicating pins correspond with the pins that go into the lens itself. Okay? And as I mentioned before, that flat section of the electrical pigtail, right here, is going to be important for indicating where that light bulb goes back. So that flat blade or the spade right there will be at the top portion of the light bulb. So we are going to place it back into the lens, finding its location. Usually you're going to have to use two hands when you are putting this back in. Replacing the metal wire by pushing it over top of that headlight, pressing down, down again, making sure it's clipped in. Our headlight is now back into its home in the lens. Reversing the order, I'm going to place the rubber back on. This will help from water splash up, and it does say top on the top of the water guard here. So placing this over, pressing it all the way around, making sure it's clipped in everywhere, and then even around the bulb itself, so making sure that it's all the way sealed inside. Finally, reconnect the electrical without bending the electrical tabs. Give it a little shake to make sure it's secured, and voila, your bulb is back in place. Another type of headlight is common on Fords is the ring secure locking clip. Now, the same procedure for this headlight, like every other one, is first you need to remove the electrical, and then you're going to grab the ring, right here, this big black ring, and go in the counterclockwise direction, which will loosen that ring off. Take the ring off. Remember which orientation it goes in. And at that point, you can jiggle and remove the bulb to get that out. Same questions and theories apply. To put it back in, push it back in the same spot. The ring goes on the exact same way. push and turn to the right. And then finally, the electrical finds its home. One more headlight option is this one, commonly found in Chevrolets, GMCs, would be your high beam and low beam in two different locations, but the same thing applies. To removal, first we take off the electrical, take up the tabs and gently just wiggle that off, and the electrical pigtail will come out. And in this case, instead of going lefty-loosey, you'll find that you have to go right in order to get the bulb out. There's no locking mechanism in place. The bulb is the actual locking mechanism, as you can see here. And because there's a high beam and a low beam, each one only has one filament each. To reassemble, place it back in where you found it, twist, lock, electrical in. Simple that way.